My name is Chris Branson. I'm with Rebound Rehab Physical Therapy here in Rockland. I'm a physical therapist, an outpatient orthopedic manual physical therapist. Mike Jimenez, Coach Jimenez, asked me to come to class today and talk to students just to give them a little introduction into physical therapy and the world of physical therapy. What I'm going to be talking about is starting out with a little bit about me and then maybe some history of physical therapy, the field of physical therapy today, some education requirements, any state requirements that we may need. And then also, as a business owner, what are the aspects of owning and operating a business, any sort of business for that matter, not just physical therapy, but the aspects of owning and operating a facility, some employee stuff, that sort of side of it. And then what does the future of physical therapy look like? And comparing that maybe to some other aspects, so massage therapy, athletic training, some of those components as well. Because of the war that it came out. So it's a pretty new profession if you look at the history of professions, right? Now there's a lot of stuff in physical therapy, right? It's not just, so for me, I'm an outpatient orthopedic physical therapist is my technical term, right? I specialize a little bit in sports medicine. But what does that really mean? It means that I see people with knee replacements, I see them with ACL injuries, I see them with, is this an ankle? Yeah. Ankle sprains, I see people with car accidents. Right? You got a headache, you come to me. You're trying to work on your balance because you're getting older, come to me. Guys golfing, my back hurts, come to me. That's those musculoskeletal injuries, right? That all of you guys in the sports medicine class are sort of dealing with right now. So the difference, obviously, between athletic training and sports medicine and physical therapy, athletic training and sports medicine is really more on the acute side, right? You're on the field, you bring them into the training room, you help them, you tape them, maybe stretch them, ice them, see what's going on, assess that injury right there when it's an acute injury. And that's really when you can kind of get the best sense of what happened, right? So you saw the injury, or hopefully somebody else did. You can assess it before all that swelling sets in. Yep, that's a torn ACL, that's a torn TFL, whatever, right? And then it balloons up, you get the ice on it, you send it to me, and I'm like, wow, it's all swollen. Can't move it at all. No idea what's going on, right? So, today in physical therapy, right? There's my profession, there's that outpatient orthopedic side, but there's a lot of other professions within physical therapy, right? We've got neurology, pediatrics, geriatrics, acute care, you've got SNFs, which is skilled nursing facilities, you've got end-of-life care. Really, that's one of the beautiful things for me about physical therapy is if I'm doing what I'm doing today, and I go, wow, I'm really getting burnt out on this, I can change it. I don't have to go back to school and go, let's go try a hospital setting. Let's go work in a school and go work with kids, right? Pediatrics. Let's go work with people that are in wheelchairs, right? And I don't have to go back to school to do that. So that's pretty cool. And then the other thing, right? Another thing that I like about physical therapy is that I could just do a 40-hour-a-week job. I can come in. I could even do less, right? Say I wanted to just work 1 day a week. Awesome, because I just won the lottery, sure, and I'm just going to work 1 day a week. You could do that, right? There are plenty of places out there that will hire you for whatever schedule that you want to work, which is pretty cool, I think. Or you can take the total opposite end of the spectrum and do what I do, which is work all the time and own your own facility, right? Until you can get people to work it for you, and then you can sit back and do whatever you want to do on the side too. So it's nice because you've got that whole range there of possibilities as far as how intense do you want to work? Where do you want to put your career in your life? Does that make sense? You guys thought I was just going to tell you what I did, right? You guys asleep yet? So PT today, what about education? So what do we have to do for education? So now, when I went to school, when I first started out, it was a bachelor's degree, and before that, it was an associate degree, right? You go to Sierra College, you get your two-year degree in physical therapy, and bang, you're a physical therapist, right? This has changed so quickly within 10 to 15 years, then it was a bachelor's degree. Another 10, 15 years, it was a master's degree. Another 10 or 15, now it's a doctorate degree. So you're paying a lot of money, and you're going to a lot of school to get the same thing that we've been doing the whole time. Which there's some pluses and minuses to that, right? Maybe somebody says, yeah, I'm a doctor in physical therapy. Maybe there's a little more clout there, right? What's the minus? We're going to spend more time. We're going to spend more money going to school to do this. Another good thing, I think, is that you don't have to put all your eggs in one basket this way, right? You can do a business degree, advertising degree, whatever it is for that undergraduate degree, fulfill your prerequisites and get into a master's or a doctorate program. So there's some good things about it being a doctorate program. All right, some bad things. We talked a little bit about
is that like a full encompassing thing? So I know, like in certain lines of work, you got to go undergraduate, then you get a certain degree, then you apply to graduate school, then you get a certain degree, then you go. Yeah. But then there's also some programs where you start day one, and then when you end day 8,000 or whatever, you have everything.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a separate thing. Okay. So you're going to do 4 years of undergraduate in whatever it is that you want to do. But in order to get into graduate school, so in this case that doctorate school, you just have to fulfill certain prerequisites to get there. So if you finished up all your 4 years of bachelor's degree and you're like, hey, now I want to go into PT school, well, you may have some prerequisites that you didn't complete because you went into a business like bachelor's degree first. There are certain schools that will do pre-physical therapy for a bachelor's, which kind of gives it a feel like you've been in the same program the whole time, which is kind of the situation you're talking about. But again, pluses and minuses to that, right? But yeah, it's certainly not like you could look at trade schools as sort of that situation where you're going to go to school and basically that whole time you're working on just whatever that trade is. Physical therapy is more like going to med school without the internships, and well, you do have internships, but without the residency afterwards. So you still have your 4 years of undergrad, and then for medical school, then you get into medical school and then go to residency after that. They're still doing that, as far as you know. That makes sense? Any questions about education on PT? It's all pretty crystal clear. Talked a little bit about the fields of physical therapy, all those different aspects that you can do. And same thing with the Marines or any military branches. I mean, that's one great thing. I don't know if that's a potential for you, but getting into the armed forces and going with a healthcare, in this case, because I'm talking about physical therapy route is awesome, I think, because they pay for all that schooling for you.
Isn't that what Nathan's doing?
That's what Nathan, anybody know Nathan Appleby? Sound familiar?
He went to school here, and his dad helped me coach, and he was a really good player. And he was one of those kids that I told you guys, he kind of, had an avenue, kind of, got involved with Chris, and, did some working here and there, and then he's at Sac State, he's going to be done, and then he's going to go to Texas A&M? Or
he's got a couple of schools that he's looking at Baylor. I think Army school, yeah.
So he's going to enlist in the Army, I believe?
Yeah.
Army, and then they're going to pay for his PT school at Baylor, which Baylor's a private school, and private just means expensive, right?
Okay.
But if somebody else, so that's the route he chose. So same thing what Chris has talked about there is, go into the armed forces. They got a great deal for you. I mean, obviously you have to serve, but I just talked to his dad last week, and he said he's get his school paid for, and then it'll be done. So.
Yeah, I mean, think about that. You got a 4-year commitment for the military, and they're going to pay for all that education for you. Any ideas on, what would my education cost me? From what maybe I there to talk to you guys about it, what I did, the route that I took. It's probably similar to what you guys may end up looking at, some of you. Any ideas? Just throw a number out there. 100,000? Anybody else?
200,000.
200,000.
I'll say 150.
Yeah, so average is about 150,000, right? So the route that I took, because I took forever to get through school, because again, remember, I was not, I didn't have this, like the day after I graduated, I wasn't like, cool, I'm going to start at this 4-year school. I wasn't quite sure, so I spread it out a little bit at the community college level, which in the end, at the time, was cheaper. I don't know if it's cheaper now.
Definitely a lot. That's what a lot of kids, especially here, do. They'll go to Sierra for a couple of years and save a lot of money, and then transfer for the last couple of years somewhere. So it's pretty common for a lot of the students here, just because it's a very cost-effective way.
Yeah, I want to say when I was going to community college, it was $8 a year.
Yeah, that's still pretty. It's not quite there. But yeah, it's definitely.
Just me and the raptors, and they were dinosaurs hanging out in school together. But yeah, it's $8 a year. Now, I don't know what it costs now. Anybody know what community college is now?
No.
I think it's probably at least double that.
Yeah, I know they were going to do a program where it was going to be free for your freshman year.
That'd be nice.
Which, that's nice. That's what the counselors have been talking to us about. But then, I don't know how much it is for your second or third.
It's like $46 a class.
Per year.
So cheap.
Yeah. So yeah, certainly still less expensive than some 4-year schools. But some people that I know, right? UC grad, undergrad, UC graduate school. You're looking at $150,000 to $200,000. Now, can that be offset by how much you're getting paid when you get out of school? Yeah, a little bit. But it's not exactly, unfortunately, this is the depressing part of the conversation. Who pays me? Any ideas? Who pays me? I'm an owner of a physical therapy office. Who pays me?
Patients.
Patients? Who else?
Insurance companies.
Insurance companies, that's right. So I can get cash pay. Patients will come in, they'll say, here's money, treat me, fix me. Other patients would come in and say, here's my insurance card, treat me, fix me. Right. So insurance reimbursement, you would think inflation's going up, right? Things cost more, we should get reimbursed more. And about every year, roughly, we lose a few percentage points on our reimbursement. So our reimbursement's actually going down, which is requiring people to be a little bit more creative in what they do and how they advertise and what markets that they're looking for. So we still have all this education. We still have 7 years of education at least to pay for, right? 4 of undergrad, 3 of graduate school. So there's still this massive amount of schooling costs. Right? What used to cost probably $50,000, maybe $40,000 or $30,000 to get out of school with a degree is now somewhere averaging $150,000. So we need to figure out how do we pay for that. Well, I figured out how I pay for it, and that's just work a lot. See a lot of patients and own my own physical therapy practice, because as an owner, how much do you get reimbursed? Very little if you're not doing your job, but the sky's the limit, really, right? You own your own practice. If you hire people and you're successful, you believe in what you're doing, you're driven to do the right thing and be the best in your field, then the options are limitless. I could have multiple clinics if I want. So you can just build on that, and then your salary is whatever you dream it to be.
Is there a way to market to cash customers as compared to marketing towards, obviously people that are, getting healthcare benefits?
Yeah, absolutely. There's plenty of good advertising and marketing opportunities out there for, depending on which route that you're going towards, right? A lot of places are doing sort of membership routes too, like offering other services. You got a gym facility that's already built into your practice, right? So there's some potential there. You can offer personal training, massage therapy, some of the yoga classes. A lot of places are kind of turning their physical therapy facilities into kind of a custom, private gym for people, and then they pay a monthly rate. They can come in, get work done, or they can do their regular exercise, whatever that is. So yeah, there's some creativity there that you can play with, and the license really is pretty open. So you've got that kind of expand your horizons a little bit, see whatever works for you. But let's talk about that for a second since I brought up the license. So all of that schooling and education, 7 years, is all wasted unless you pass the test. You have to pass the board exam. Right? In California, we have a board exam. It's actually a national board exam. It's good for any state out there, and in California, as well as the other states, all have their laws exam component too. So if I wanted to go and practice in Nevada, I could go practice in Nevada. I just have to take their short little laws exam, and then I get my Nevada physical therapy license. Right? So that's nice because since it's a national exam, that means if I move somewhere, I know that my test score or my test travels with me. I don't have to worry about, oh, do I have to go back to school? Do I have to take some more classes? Do I have to retake an exam now that I've been practicing for however many years you've been out there practicing? It's just doing that law exam, which is really pretty similar across the board for all the states with a few exceptions. So, any questions on that? Make sense?
How often do you said it's national, but I mean, there's I have to get CPR first aid certified every year. Yeah. Is it like a 5-year thing? Is it a lifetime thing? How many times do you have to retake it?
Yeah, once you take the test, you're licensed forever.
Oh, okay.
Right? You have to keep your credentials up, and the way to do that is to pay your fee every 2 years. And you also have to take classes, continuing education classes every 2 years as well. So it amounts to about 30 hours of classes, which isn't bad. And 4 of those are going to be through CPR and first aid, so you got to keep that updated. And then 2 of those will be through laws and ethics, so you got to take that. So 6 hours is already kind of, hey, you have to take this. And then you've got 24 other hours where you can get creative and take whatever you want, which is kind of nice because it gives you some opportunities for growth still and learning. And some of those classes are things about the business side too. I mean, if you wanted to own your own practice, you've got to know about the business side. So that makes sense.
Did you, when we were in Sportsman, when we were talking about, professions and stuff, and we talked about, usually, if you are a athletic trainer, you might join, NATA, a professional organization. Could you just kind of let them know, I guess, do you belong to a professional organization for physical therapists, and by belonging to that, what are all the benefits that they offer? Like, I know like in coaching, we would always go to coaching conferences and coaching clinics.
Yeah.
So
some of the more popular ones for outpatient orthopedics, right? You've got like NASM, National Association of Sports Medicine. You've got NATA, National
Association
Athletic Trainers. You've got the NSCA, National Strength and Conditioning Association, America or something.
Yeah.
Personally, I take a lot of classes from a lot of those, but I know I don't do the certification routes for them. Some people really get into that, like they want to put a bunch of initials behind their name, which I think is awesome, especially when they're teaching a class or something. You're like, wow, it's like this long at the end of the name. But it totally depends on what interests you too, right? So some of the benefits of being involved with those organizations are really on the education side and somewhat on the insurance side, right? You can lower your insurance costs. You can also get less expensive classes and that sort of thing if you're part of those associations. I do recommend getting those associations if you found a route that you're like, man, this is exactly what I want to do. And you have the time to do it. That's the big component too. Some of those certifications require a lot of hours. So for me personally, being on that business ownership side, I just didn't always have that opportunity to say, yeah, I can devote all this extra time to go work at this other clinic or this facility under this particular instructor for the time requirements that they needed. So, but whatever works for you. Some people get out of school and they're like, I really need more school. I feel like I need more education on this particular topic. For me, once I got into physical therapy, that first visit when I was watching my mom get treated by this physical therapist, I said, that's what I want to do. I want to be the owner of this place. I didn't want to be a physical therapist, just a staff PT. I wanted to own my own clinic. I wanted to do exactly what that lady was doing. So for me, when I got out of school, it wasn't, I need more education on how to be a better physical therapist. By the time that I was out of physical therapy school, I was already in the profession for about 7 years. And I thought, I've got this down, the treatment side now. I really wanted to get into owning my own place. So I didn't feel the need to do all those extra certifications for me. But that's me. I mean, I've always been an entrepreneur, or at least that type, right? Typically, always worked for myself when I was growing up, or found a job where I could feel like I had some ownership potential here. I was a massage therapist going through school because I knew, hey, I've got this clientele base that's already part of my physical therapy side from working at this facility. Now I can generate my own business doing that, right? Martial arts instructor, my own client base, right? Got into athletic training, mostly for the physical therapy route, to get into that sports and orthopedic side. So it made sense that, hey, I'm just gonna own my own facility. And I didn't stop there. I mean, I've opened up another business since then. This is kind of off the topic. Probably shouldn't talk about this on tape. But I also run a self-defense and firearms industry of training, right? Safety and all that stuff. So my entrepreneurial kind of being inside of me it doesn't stop, right? Even I was just visiting my dad up in Idaho, and I'm like looking around going, what sort of business can I start here? Because that little entrepreneur key was changed in me. It was turned on a long time ago. It just is stuck. Once you start that, it's hard to turn it off. Any questions so far on any of this? Any comments?
What you got, guys? Yeah, something.
You guys can think for a second.
When you were up in Idaho, where did you think you saw, like, as a entrepreneurial?
You move in Idaho, you gonna take my idea?
Panhandle, might have to go up there.
Yeah. Where I was in Idaho is Coeur dAlene. It's a resort town, so there's a lot of potential for resort type of activities. So what I was looking at more was wine bars, restaurants, that sort of thing. I was with my brother. He's a bartender and restaurant manager, but he's never owned anything. So this is kind of an opportunity for me to go, hey, you could run this and I can help to own it and put up some of that upfront cost.
There's a lot of those hops places up there too that are
exactly.
You can really just get your resources there right there too.
Yep, absolutely.
So, compared to like massage therapy or athletic training, like what's the difference in salary from you and then other?
So it depends, right? There's a lot of questions you gotta take into consideration when we talk about salary, right? Mm-hmm. So let's just say starting out, you're getting out of school and you're a physical therapist, okay? Just getting out of school. Right now you're looking at about $86,000 a year. Okay? Just fresh out of school. Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's working full time. That's your 40 hours a week that you're working. Your salaried employee that gets plus benefits and all that. I can tell you, as a business owner, you probably tack on another 50% of that just in employee costs. So really, your salary encompasses a lot more than just that. But that's basically what you're going to take home. Well, government's going to take about a third of that at least. But yeah, you're going to make $86,000 a year. So if you broke that down to an hourly component, like you're like, hey, I just want to do this by the hour. So I'm just going to work here, maybe 10 hours over there, and then I'm going to go work for the hospital a few hours. So you're looking at $35 to $45 per hour. So again, this is you working for somebody else. Does it seem like a lot of money?
Yeah.
Seems like a lot of money, right? And then you got to get rid of all those tuition costs that you put.
I make 12 an hour.
And it's still a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. It's still a lot. You're going to make a good living in physical therapy. You absolutely will, right? And again, as far as the money goes, the options are limitless. If you own your own practice, you can make whatever it is that you want to make. You just have to put in the effort and find the right people to work for you. What about massage therapy? How much does a massage therapist make? Any ideas?
I would say at least half of that.
Yeah. So, yeah, so your average massage therapist, right, makes $20 an hour working for some other place. Right? But you own your own massage therapy business. So what do you make? It depends on what you charge, right? When I was doing my deal, right, so this is massage. So I was working through school. So I kind of tailored my schedule to fit what I needed because that worked for me. I would go to people's houses or I would work on them at the facility. I had a good relationship with the owner of my clinic, and the one that I was working at. I said, hey, can I see some of my clients here? And she said, sure, no problem. Right? She would take 10% of what I made if I saw them there. And if I went to their house, then I would charge them a little more because now I've got drive time associated with it. But if I saw them at her facility, I was charging them $80 an hour, minus the $8 that went to the facility, 10%. Not a big deal, right? So that certainly is a lot better than that, right? And if I went to their house, then oftentimes it was $150 an hour. That's not bad. If I could do that forever, that'd be great. The downside is you're going to their house, so an hour massage turns into probably a 2-hour commitment, sometimes longer depending on where they live, because you've got a half an hour there, you've got setup time, you've got a half an hour drive home maybe. So athletic trainer, how much does an athletic trainer make? Any ideas? So you guys are in this field, you must have researched this. What do we think?
30.
About 30? Yeah. About $30 an hour. I really like athletic training, but it's kind of, right now, it's still the redheaded stepchild. Athletic training deserves a lot more recognition than what it gets, and it deserves a lot more freedom within the field. Right? Athletic trainers should be able to bill for reimbursement through insurance companies. And somewhat you can, depending on the insurance company, but it's not real set in stone, right? So we need some changes in the athletic training field in order for that reimbursement to come up, which it really should. Because technically speaking, an athletic trainer should be able to do almost all the same things that a physical therapist does. Right? But really you should be able to do them even better. You should be able to get that patient off the field, bring them into the facility, treat them at the facility, and follow them through, talk to their doctor about it, say, hey, we need an MRI for this person, we need an X-ray for this person, and there's a lot of education that goes into being an athletic trainer now. I think the requirement in probably 5 or 10 years is going to be a master's program, if it's not already sooner than that. So certainly the education is getting there. But I think it's probably kind of following the same route that physical therapy did, right? Physical therapy started out as an associate degree, then bachelor's, master's, now doctorate degree, and that was purely about clout in the field, right? How do insurance companies, how do doctors, and how does the public view this profession? That makes sense? So right now, athletic trainers are down a little bit because no one really quite knows, as far as the layman goes, what's an athletic trainer here? Oh, that's that personal trainer that I saw at the gym. No, right? What's an athletic trainer? There's just not a lot of knowledge in the public about it. Now, there certainly is becoming more in the past couple of years. You're hearing more about interviews with athletic trainers on football shows or interviews with them there. You'll see them talk about, oh, the trainer's running out to the field and this and that. And so that verbiage is getting there, but it's certainly not where it should be yet. And the salary certainly reflects it. It's also hard to become an athletic trainer because how many jobs are there? If you're an athletic trainer, who wants to work with geriatrics? Anybody? Right? But there isn't a big geriatric athletic training population. There could be, absolutely. Right? Our senior citizens, are they active? Totally. There's a whole sports field out there, right? Go over to Sun City and watch the guys playing softball. They are athletes. They're older athletes, but they certainly need an athletic trainer. Right? So there's avenues for athletic training that are beyond just in the education setting. But right now it seems like that's where athletic training has stuck. It's sitting in the high schools, the junior colleges, and the rest of those college levels, right? Until you get into professional sports. Who wants to be an athletic trainer? Don't let me discourage you. It's not discouraging because by the time that you get there, hopefully some of these things are already squared away. But do recognize that there are limitations right now in athletic training. So for me, looking at athletic training, I had to think, well, what's my backup plan, right? So physical therapy was here, athletic training, I could fall back on that. But, I had to be realistic about it too, right? So you want to take a look at those salaries. If I'm going to have to do a master's degree in athletic training, which you may have to do by the time that you get there, you may be looking at $30 an hour still. Well, if you did the same time a master's degree in physical therapy, there's quite a bit of difference there. So just make sure you get it all out on the table and say what's really going to happen, or what's going to happen in my life, and do I have another plan, Again, don't let me discourage you. I love athletic training, but right now, and Kristen, so I have a couple of employees who came here, right? Nathan Appleby, and then Kristen Olson, she's an employee. She just moved away. She's working for a school up north, and it's tough for her to find a job because there just aren't a lot of athletic training jobs out there, and you can't create your own. It's tough.
She was at American River last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then where'd she move to now?
She's at Chico. Escaping me now. But yeah, it's one of the colleges up there. Yeah, if she ever sees this video, she'll be like, "What?" I can't remember where I am.
I think that, with athletic training, I think there definitely, when we talk about sports med, one was, remember that passion you have for certain types of jobs. And what Chris is also talking about is the freedom of enjoyment of that job. So sometimes, if that is a passion of yours and that's an enjoyment, and you love working with athletes and you love being on the field and that part of it, sometimes that maybe would outweigh if you're looking strictly just for, payment, right? Some people may not even like their job, and they're just like, I'm going to do that job because I want to make, $300,000 a year. So they're maybe driven by money. So remember we talked about most of the time in sports medicine, people go into pediatric care or geriatric care or whatever because that slice of the population they have a connection with. So whether they have a brother that was hurt, you hear Chris talk about his mom, right? So maybe you have a grandpa that had a hip replacement and they had to go get physical therapy, and that excites you to maybe help out the older population. Or like I say, athletic training. You want to get athletes back on the field, okay? And all you do is watch the game last night, watch every game, right? Where you at NFL, I mean, like we told you, dudes just getting wrecked every game, man. I mean, that's just violent sports. So there's a lot of opportunities there. You got to look at all the different avenues and things that make you happy. I think that's a great thing about sports medicine. You hear Chris talk about he's done like 4 or 5 different avenues and landed in physical therapy, where he may, in 5 years not do physical therapy and decide he wants to go back to massage therapist or go back and maybe he wants to be the trainer at Whitney High School or something like that, whatever, So I think that's important to understand when you're in that field. You can always take a left turn or a right turn, but you're still in that field, right? Okay, so that's important.
Right, so money and happiness, right? So this is the easy part. That is the easy part. All those numbers that I just put up there with salaries, that doesn't matter. Because you will not fall anywhere in there. You're going to fall where you fall, right? But trust me. And when I was working for an owner of a facility, the husband of the wife that I started with, and I was with that same company for 7 years, husband and wife team, they had a couple of other therapists that owned with them, so it was kind of a group. all these facilities, Irvine, Newport Beach, Brentwood, Beverly Hills, all the ones that I told you about before, and I would kind of bounce around between all those areas. It was crazy driving down in LA to do it. But he told me that one husband owner, and it didn't make any sense at the time. He said, that's the easy part. That's the easy part. And it's true. I didn't realize it at the time. The money is the easy part, right? This is not always the easy part. But this will come if you find what you want to do and you become the best at it that you can be. I guarantee you will make money. You will make more money than you ever thought you could, doing something that you enjoy and that you love. And I don't care if it's in sports medicine or if it's in physical therapy or you want to be a chef, you want to be whatever. If you put your all into it and you believe in it and you are like, this is for me and I'm happy doing it, it makes me feel good, then this will come, guaranteed. Absolutely. And I did not believe when he said that, but he was right. And as I got older, it started to make sense. As far as happiness goes, right, because that's probably the all-important thing here, right? I mean, we can have as much money as we want, but if it doesn't make you happy, I mean, not to get morbid, but look at all the actors that have committed suicide in the last decade. If there's money for them, they're not happy. Money and happiness do not equal each other. Right? You need to find happiness in your life. Again, I'm not a motivational speaker, but look, this is the important thing in life. Am I happy doing what I'm doing? Not because I wanted money out of it, right? But because I enjoy it. Because whatever that is in that field, right, it makes me feel good. It makes me happy. I'm glad to go to work every day. If you dread going to work every day, this will never come. It will never come. Because even if you had some, you'd spend it on all the emotional stuff that's going on in your head, right? You're gonna spend all your money trying to fill that void that you don't have because you're not happy doing what you're doing. So happiness really is really the important thing. And look at physical therapy, right? Physical therapy, again, statistics here, right? Job satisfaction, it's always in the top 10, right? Ever since I got in the field, and that was 25 years ago. Always in the top 10 as far as careers with highest job satisfaction, which says a lot, I think, right? People are satisfied with what they have to do every day, between 40 and 60 hours a week. You're going to a job that you enjoy. That's pretty cool, I think. And if that's true and you're happy doing it, then again, guarantee that money will be there. Make sense? Did I convince any of you guys to be a physical therapist yet? Mm-hmm. No. Anybody who wants to put in some hours, you want to come and see what it's like, just shoot me an email or talk to Mike.
Yeah, you guys, Chris's. I told you guys, that's how you gotta learn. You learn by doing, right? Those of you guys that have been in the training room, those of you guys that have been working on the sidelines, you learn by doing. You go down to see Chris's facility. He's got an amazing facility. When I was there with my daughter in the spring, I think he had someone working the front desk, and then there was, I think, 4 people working in the back, including himself. So quite a bit of people were running through there when I was just there for an hour and a half, whatever it was. So definitely a lot that you can learn. Questions? Sure, let's go. I love it.
How stressful is it to own your own business?
My biggest stresses don't come from owning the business, they come from employee problems. So is that stressful? It depends on your crew that you have. If you've got good employees who all kind of get along and have a good time, it's not stressful at all. So I try and help with that. So I take my employees out to lunch, I buy coffees, we'll do activities. The crew went to Topgolf last month or the month before. We'll do outings, we do Tough Mudders and Spartans together, we work out together sometimes, depending on who's working at the time. Some people hate to work out. I don't know, but yeah, if you can create a fun environment, it's not stressful at all because your employees are happy and that makes you as an employer happy. But as far as the other aspects of the business go, I love what I do, so it really makes everything else fall in line. I would imagine that if I didn't like what I was doing, it would be stressful because you wouldn't be meeting your bills, right? So I try to keep my overhead low because for me, it's more about patient care, right? It's not about having the best equipment out there because the equipment isn't going to do the job, right? I do the job. I'm a manual therapist, so I've got my hands on my patients, right? We're doing massage skills, we're doing joint mobilizations, we're stretching them out. So all of that side of it makes those patients happy. They tell their friends about it, and everybody keeps coming in. So the business side of it, as far as the money goes, the financial, can I meet, right, the demands of how much do I owe versus how much am I getting? That's there. So that stress stays away. It's really just the employees. As long as you keep those employees happy, it's not stressful at all.
You ever wish or ever think sometimes, you'd rather be working for Kaiser or one of those?
I've thought about it. Yeah, it's a tough thing, right?
It's totally different than what you do, obviously.
Yeah. So I'm married. I've got 2 kids, 11-year-old and an 8-year-old. Yeah, man, I would love to spend more time with my kids. But luckily, my kids go to school like literally right around the corner from my office. So I see them in the morning, and then when they get out of school, they come into the office, and I see them then. I get to set my own schedule. So I've got another physical therapist now that's working for me on Tuesdays. So I'm like, I don't have to show up in the mornings on Tuesdays if I don't want to. So that gives me some time with my kids. I can set my schedule throughout the week, however I want. So Monday, Tuesday, potentially, could be really long days for me, 7 to 7. It's a 12-hour day. But then Wednesday, I get off at about noon. Friday, I got off about noon. So every weekend, I got a 2.5 day weekend. That's pretty good. Thursday's a longer day. But you can set your schedule to whenever you want. That's traditionally what my schedule has been. But now, with another therapist coming in, I get some extra time on Tuesday, which is great. I don't think I would get the same thing from going to work for somebody else. Depending, you'd have to shop around a little bit. And you'd certainly set your schedule based on what the need is out there, which is nice. But yeah, going to work for somebody else, going to work for a big company, you just get rid of all those stresses or potential stresses of owning your own business. You probably get a little more free time. But the downside with that is you lose some of your autonomy, right? So what do I want to do? How do I want to run things? You're under somebody else's thumb. For me, if I was looking for another job, I probably wouldn't go work for a larger company like a Kaiser or a Sutter or one of those. I probably want to be in something that I was more familiar with. Maybe that's just because of my history, right? I would want to go work for a little mom and pop shop where I have a little more say in what goes on. They value my opinion as an employee because it's a smaller business, right? So that would be for me, but everybody's different. Some people just want to go to work, put in their 40 hours and go. And there's nothing wrong with that. You're going to make a good living, and if you enjoy what you do, you're going to have a good time doing it. But for me, I don't mind putting in extra time to wherever I work, even if I work for somebody else.
Who else has a question? Coeur? You get that?
How old are you?
How old do you think I am?
36.
Awesome. You're my favorites. I'm 45. I'll be 46 in October. So I've been doing it a while, 25 years really in the field. So, yeah.
What else, guys? What do you have questions about PT, athletic training? What do you got?
I think like what's so daunting about like starting a business, in my opinion, is like getting a place to like do it and then like hiring people and like I feel like the getting it started part is like the biggest part of it. So like, what did you do, and like, what steps did you have to take to like get to that point, like get past all of that beginning stuff?
So it doesn't matter. Let's just talk about just starting a business. So forget about physical therapy for a second, right?
Yeah.
Let's just say, hey, I want to start a business. So the first thing is not where am I going to open up my shop, right? I have to get clients first. People have to want me to do whatever it is that I'm doing with them.
Yeah.
So let's say it was massage therapy, right? That might be easy because I can just make up business cards. I can find out what the requirements are in the city or the county that I live in to do massage therapy. Maybe it's an insurance thing, right? I have to pay my yearly insurance dues. So you get all those little ducks squared away before I worry necessarily about where am I going to open up shop. Because I can't just open up, like we couldn't just put a sign on the outside of this door and be like, inside we're selling pizza, right? Yeah. We have to have people know that we're over here selling pizza, right? And we could do that from your house. You could do that driving to other people's houses. Hey, look, I sold this pizza and now I'm bringing it to you. So really getting the clients is going to be the number one, right? So I wouldn't worry too much about the overwhelming idea of like hiring employees because you wouldn't have employees when you first start out. It's just you. You're starting your business for you so that you can service those customers wherever they are, whoever they are. So first thing, get yourself a business card, find out what the requirements are for the state, the county, or the city, and then start advertising, word of mouth. Hey, this is what I do. This is, the service that I provide, and find out, is this something that people want? Am I selling the right pizza, for instance? And then when people go, well, I don't like that pizza, say, well, what kind of pizza do you like? I'll make that type of pizza. You find out what people want. So if we get back to physical therapy, what do people want in physical therapy? They want to feel better, right? So if you went to a physical therapist for your ankle today, you walked in and they said, cool, you're going to do these stretches, you're going to do these exercises, here's a sheet of paper, see you later, see you in a couple weeks. Do you feel satisfied with that? Probably not. I know I wouldn't. I'd want this physical therapist, guy, girl, whoever it is, to say, hey, let's take that boot off, let's test it out, let's see what's going on. Let's do a little massage in here to get rid of some of that fluid that's been accumulating. Let's get these muscles loosened up and make it feel better. Let's maybe put some electrical stim on there, some ice. I'm going to show you some exercises. I'm going to show you some stretches. Do you understand those stretches? Here's why you're doing them. Here's how it's going to help you. Feel better? He feels better just by me talking about it, right? So getting your hands on them is what people in my industry, that's what they like. And so we have to respond with our business model based on that too. So it's going to help him, so we're helping him. But it also makes him feel better, not just physically, but emotionally too. I feel better about acquiring this service that you're providing. So he goes and talks to his buddy. He's like, hey, how's your ankle? He's like, dude, you wouldn't believe it. I went to this physical therapist. He made it feel so much better. What do you do? Well, he massaged it, and he did these joint loops, and he's doing the stretches, and he's showing me all the stuff I can do at home, and already the swelling's down. It's amazing. His buddy goes, I'm going there, right? And so then that word of mouth starts, right? So find out what the patients or pizza business, what those customers want, right? And then provide that for them. And then once you start building up some more customers, right, then we can necessarily worry about how big our facility is, right? Maybe you started out your facility in a small place, and then it starts to grow and grow. You start out as just you as an employee, and you're answering the phone and working on somebody over here and answering the phone and getting on the computer, right? That's how it was when I first opened up mine, right? My wife was pregnant. She just had a baby, so we had basically like a 2-year-old running around in the back. And she's pregnant, she's answering the phone, she's doing the billing, and I'm treating patients and advertising and talking to doctors. It's just the two of us really running around doing this stuff. So, but then our passion for it and listening to our customers to say, what is it that these people really like, really started to make this thing grow. And if you let it, or you want it to be, it will grow really big. there's plenty of opportunities where we had to go, no, let's rein it in a little bit because I like my small shop. I don't want to be big. I don't want it to get out of control. Right? I want to maintain the same reason that he would have come back to therapy. I want to keep that, right? I don't want it to become like you hire somebody and they're like, here's some exercises, because then your reputation starts to go.
What do you think if you were starting a PT business, would you need like a book of 50 people before the, 100?
Yeah, so it's PT specific, right? Yeah, PT specific, you could open up a small shop, say 1,000 square feet.
Like by yourself, you and your wife?
Yeah, and really, you're going to talk to a couple of doctors first before you even open up the door, introduce yourself, say, hey, here's who I am, here's what I'm doing, and see what that feel is, Hey, when are you going to open up your doors, right? So you get a sense of, are these doctors even going to start referring to me? Do I have other sources? Can I have an advertisement in the Sun City News and be like, hey, back hurting you because you're golfing today? Whatever, come and see me. And start to generate some of that. But if you thought about how many patients am I going to need to see just to stay open for the week, you're probably looking at maybe 50 patients for the week. But think about it. Most of those people are coming in twice a week. So really it's just 25 patients twice a week. Right? Some of those people may only come in once. Some may come in 3 times, depending on, if it's an acute injury or not. They come in a little bit more and then it tapers down. But yeah, you figure roughly 25 individual people coming in to see you. But it's going to slowly start to build. It's not like you open up the doors and there's a line of 25 people waiting to come in. So, and again, if you were really serious, like, hey, I want to open up my own facility, chances are you've already been in the business for a little while. Chances are you may have even been in the business in the location that you're going to open up. So you've already generated some of those contacts with doctors. You've already got kind of your finger on the pulse of what the community needs. Right? Make sense? But how many do we see every day? Or let's say for a week, we see on average about 130 to 150 patients per week.
So like my mom owns a construction company, and sometimes companies are like that.
Absolutely.
So like, how do you deal with like the low parts?
Yeah, you just keep some money in your savings. The most important thing for me is that my employees get paid. So luckily, there's no wood around here. Knock on wood. I've never had to reduce my salary in order to pay my employees. Right? We've never had such a low where we go, wow, we're not going to make ends meet, so Chris doesn't get to eat this week. But that is the potential as a business owner. You're the last one to get paid. Right? So, yeah, you got to deal with that, side of it. If there's a low, make sure that you've got enough in savings. If you just started out your business, chances are you're going to have to get a loan, either from a bank or from a friend or from a relative or whatever it is, right? You get that rich uncle or that guy that keeps emailing you from somewhere in India. It's a joke. Don't click yes.
I know this defeats the purpose, but like if you never worked, like if you had the business and everything, but you never like actually like went in and worked and you just like managed, would you still get paid the same?
It depends on how you structure your corporation. Yeah. But yeah, certainly as just being an owner, you get what you would consider maybe the profit over the top, right? Some that you have to inject back into the company. But, as a treating physical therapist, I get a salary, and as an owner, I get profit from the business. So would I still get that? Well, I'd have to hire somebody else to come in and do my share of the work, so I would probably give them my salary. And then I would just take the profit. Does that make sense? You're still getting paid, but you're probably not going to get the same.
Do you, with your patients, is there ever a time where they're, fully healed and they need to stop seeing you, or are they constantly coming?
No, absolutely. The average person probably comes in for about 2 months. Figure on average twice a week for about 2 months. Takes 8 weeks just for tissue healing. So you figure, people don't come indefinitely. Some people want to continue to come, right? Or they'll have other things that they want to deal with, right? You did such a good job on my ankle, and my shoulder is also bugging me. I've got this kink in my neck. Back bothers me when I do my golf swing. So no, you can certainly turn one patient into another through that same person. If you're good at doing what you're doing, chances are that one patient also has a father, daughter, son, some other relatives, some other friends who also is going to become a patient of yours as well.
Are there like certain seasons where it's like low? Because like some company, like in the winter, like there's like dead, and then like it just happens to be Christmas, so like it's awful.
Yeah, it seems like there's going to be sometimes, and then all of a sudden we'll get 20 new patients that call up. So yeah, there are some sort of dead seasons because like you figure when football season is in, right? You'd think, cool, Chris is going to be busy. No, nobody wants to come into physical therapy because they all want to play. So they're like, no, I can't go to PT. I got to play, right? But then after football's over, we tend to get a few more people, right? Before football season starts, we tend to get some people. These kids come out and they're like, hey, can you fix this shoulder, right? When did you injure it? Last season. Where you been last year? Right? So yeah, there's like, there's a summer lull, just a little bit in the beginning because people go on vacation or they haven't figured out their schedules yet with their kids. Right around Christmas time, there tends to be a lull. But then people start to realize that, oh, my insurance benefits are going to expire at the end of the year. So then everybody calls like the week before Christmas and wants to come in. So yeah, there's perceptions of ups and downs, but in general, it's pretty even.
So like you said, like doctors can like refer patients and stuff to you. Do you ever get like conflicts like with the doctors on like how you're healing someone or how long it's taking? Like, do they ever get like upset about anything like that?
No, not really. No, I would imagine that some places do, but as long as you're keeping that open line of communication with your referring physician, it's fine. You just call them up if something's not right or someone's not progressing like you would expect them to. If they're not, then you really want to make that phone call anyways to be like, hey, this person's not responding as well as I want. Maybe there's something else that we need to look at here. And you get them in for an MRI or something.
Have you ever had like where you don't agree with what the doctor is doing?
Yeah, but you can always be honest with your patients. So you don't have to put down a physician or anyone else in the field for that matter. You could just redirect it and say, hey, they're saying it's this, but it's also really kind of presenting this way. If that makes sense. And a lot of patients will come in and they'll say, hey, what do you think about this, say, injection? My doctor wants to do this injection. So be honest. Some people respond well to it, but I find that whatever your objection is. So there's a sugar coating that you can do to it, right?
Were you and when you first started your business, were you ever worried about like the competition of the other physical therapists in the area?
You always have to be aware of competition, but I'm not too worried about it. I really enjoy what I'm doing, and people seem to respond well to it. So, in physical therapy, there tends to be a little bit of that feeling of competition. And if I had my way, right, so we talked about like today in PT, what about the future in PT? If I had my way in the future of physical therapy, we would break those down a little bit. I should be able to go over to my competitor and say, hey, how you guys doing over here? You need any help? Hey, I got this employee who's looking for some extra hours. You guys need some of that? And there would be a little bit more of a cohesiveness to the field. But yeah, there is, I think, a little natural competition between different offices. And it would be nice if we could get rid of some of that. We could all share from our own experiences, and other people could benefit from that as well. Does that answer your question? Yeah.
How do you do with so like a lot of times when we're doing training on the field and stuff, we have like athletes that like they're clearly injured, but they won't listen to you and they keep trying to convince you that they're fine.
Yeah.
So like how do you like deal with them when they're like, you're lying to me, why can't you fix it like right now? Or like they get mad at you.
Yeah. Well, you guys are in a tough spot with that because you're students, right? So how much control do you have over pulling an athlete out of competition? That probably would be dictated by Mike over there. As a physical therapist or someone who would be in charge of that person's care, like, if I came onto the football field and I'm assessing someone and they're like, no, I'm good, I want to go back in, right? Okay, cool, can I see your helmet? Sure, here it is. Right. I'm going to hold on to your helmet. Well, why? Because you're not going back in. It's my helmet. You're going to have a seat. And you just have to be more direct with them, right? Soccer, you're okay? Okay, take your shoes off for me. Hold on to your shoe. All right, give me your shoe. Cool. Why do you have a shoe? Because you're not going back in. We're not going to go back in and play yet. We have to either finish the assessment, or there's some contraindication for you to go back to return to sport, if it's a concussion or if it's that sprained ankle or whatever it is, right? So I used to be a doorman at a nightclub. I've had a lot of different jobs. So how would I get people outside of the club? Any ideas? I'm a pretty small guy. Punch him in the face. No, I would not punch him. But that's a good idea. I should try it. No, I'm just kidding. So I'm inside the club. Somebody's causing a problem, right? Can I see your ID? They give me their ID. Cool. Let's go up front. And I start walking up front. You want to come with me? Yeah, you do, because you want your ID back. So I just walk them up front. It's the same thing with sports. You just take something of theirs that they require to go back into play. Say, let's sit down and finish up this assessment. If everything's squared away, you're going to go back in. No problem. Does that make sense? Give you some ideas?
Yeah.
All right. But again, default back to whoever your supervisor is.
Yeah, they're trying, they're learning. Dr. Roy's out there, and obviously you'll be there sometimes. Just different people and just trying to learn. Learning all those different techniques, and that's what they'll see. We talked about last week. We were talking about concussions. We're gonna kind of get into the brain right now, and so we talked about if they don't have their helmet, they can't play. So we talked about the same thing last week.
Yeah.
So just learning those techniques, and then they're dealing. We talked about Sports Med 1, return to play. Athletes tend to lie to you because they want to play in the like we play in Rockland this Friday. So every kid wants to play in the Rockland game. So are they going to be honest with you? They're going to lie to you. So that's going back to the assessment. Whether it's we got a couple more minutes, guys. Whether it's a varus or valgus test, or whether it's they need to be able to run and cut. We talked about all those things about what would clear them, and then depending on who's going to make that call. Is it the coach? Is it the parents? Is it the athletic trainer? Is it the PT? Is it their is it their physician?
Yeah.
So obviously, depending on the severity of the injury, that would be who would do that. So just learning those things and coming along with that.
Yeah.
Anybody? We got a couple more minutes. Anybody have any other questions? Those of you guys that.
And just to get back to this, the most important thing for return to sport is, can they do that job to the effectiveness that they need to, right? Because, if you have an athlete who can go back, but they're at 80%, but you have another athlete that's at 100% that can do the same job, even as a coach, why would you want your 80%er to be back in? You just say, hey, you just sit down and heal, we'll send in our 100% guy or girl, right? But if somebody gets pulled out of sports, so a physician says, you cannot return to sports, right? So the only person that can return them to sports is that physician. So if you get a doctor that pulls you out, you have to get that same doctor typically to send you back. There's a lot of hoops that another doctor would have to go through in order to clear you. So typically it's that same physician. That's different for an athletic trainer, right? You get a trainer who says, hey, you can't return to sports. Well, another trainer at that same facility may be able to do enough tests to justify clearing them. But if you guys have an athlete who's been pulled from sports by a physician, it's important to recognize that that physician needs to clear them to come back, right?
With the concussion, right guys?
Yeah,
They're out,
specifically with
they
concussion.
can't play,
Yeah.
that's the concussion protocol.
Yeah.
What question came up, if anyone watched Packers Bears Sunday night, anybody watch that game? Okay, the guy who makes the most money in the NFL, Aaron Rodgers, gets hurt, right? He's out of the game, comes back in, so he was cleared to play, obviously by their medical staff or someone who deemed him clear to play. He's played, finishes the game, and now he's not clear to play yet this next week. So the question was, should he have been out there playing the game Sunday night, or why would he be out there Sunday night when he's not clear to play next week? So I wasn't there, I'm not the physician, but that's a good question, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know how the answer for you, but that's kind of what you're dealing with. Obviously, maybe I don't know what happened to his knee.
So speaking of professional sports, anybody want to get into athletic training or from professional sports? Okay. So interesting facts about professional sports. When I first got into this, we had doctors down. How much time do I have?
About 3 minutes.
All right. So when I first got into this, we had physicians down in LA, and they specifically work with certain teams. And I thought, man, these physicians must be really great physicians because they're working with these professional teams. Come to find out, a lot of them don't get paid for it. It's just for the notoriety. So that they can put up their plaque, they can put up their jersey up on the wall, and patients can come in and go, wow, you're the doctor for so-and-so team. You must be really good. And so that becomes the perception. When you see a physician and they're a team doctor for some professional team, that becomes the perception that they're a great physician, right? So any ideas on how doctors become team physicians nowadays? Just throw something out there. Any?
You got past a specific test?
You would think so, right?
Politics.
Politics, sort of. We're getting to the root of the matter.
Connections, yeah.
What is it?
Connections with people who are like on the team, like their family.
Could be. What else? How about they pay for it? A physician actually pays to work with a team now. You guys know that? Yeah. Next time you go to a game, and typically now it's not even small docs, right? It's big corporations.
Yeah.
Sutter Health working with this team, Kaiser working with this team. You think, man, they trust their health to Kaiser or to Sutter? Awesome. I like Sutter and Kaiser now. Wow. They paid somewhere in the ballpark of $1 to $2 million just so that they can put their name out there. And then on top of that, those athletes, when they get injured, they either get free care or severely reduced priced care with that facility. So, interesting. Just something to think about.
Well, guys, what do you say, Chris, for taking time out of the day and coming to see you?
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you.